Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is stepping into the void, the vast, unbounded possibility. What would it look like to be able to move into this space of the unknown and move from continuity to emergence? So it should be a fun conversation, but before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present and start off this new week grounded and in our amazing bodies. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, and creating this brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, rub your palms vigorously together. Feel that friction, the temperature, the buzzing, the electricity, and all that sensation, and allow that to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. And I want to just talk today about stepping into the void. So I have a birthday coming up, and it's a big birthday. So I don't know about you, but when that happens, I find myself, or when birthdays roll around, I find myself reminiscing, ruminating, and especially when there are big birthdays. Hi, Jenny. Good morning. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning, the 18th. So it's still a little ways away, but I have a friend. We've been celebrating our birthdays together for years and years and years. And her birthday was yesterday. So it's like my birthday starts with her birthday a lot. So yeah, my birthday is a week from today. So, oh, so Jenny says my birthday is 8/27. Well, happy almost birthday. You get to start celebrating early. Why not, right? So when we look at what our lives are like, when we ruminate about what our life has been and what it's becoming. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get to look, there's a sense, at least at this point in my life, of desire to make my life the life I've dreamt of. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about stepping into the void. And so the void, when I talk about that, what I mean is the unknown, this place of unbounded possibility. And in the description, I talked about moving. Good morning, Bernadette. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. Moving from continuity to emergence. Jenny says, I started celebrating on 8/5 because that's a day I received a stem cell transplant in 2015. Wow, amazing, Jenny. So I did a stem cell treatment also with my own stem cells that are now banked. And that's one gift I'm going to give myself this year is having another stem cell treatment for sure, because that's when some of my hair started growing back. So they're miraculous. It's miraculous to have a stem cell treatment. Um, anyway, that's a whole other topic, which is probably, partly stepping into the void, like what's possible. What's possible? That's really what we're looking at in this stepping into the void, is what's possible, and moving from the continuity to emergence. And Jenny says, I had baby cord blood. That's amazing too. Brand new baby stem cells. And for those of you that aren't aware, it's no threat to a baby, by the way. In any case, so emergence, what does that look like? And what the way that we live so much is on a timeline. We live for the most part carrying the past forward with us in every moment. And so what would it look like to have a radical discontinuity? I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that in your life. I have, where it just felt like the timeline broke somehow, and there were those moments where I was I just sort of felt in a different dimension. And typically when that had happened in the past, it was very unsettling, actually, because it felt like the reality that I was living in got deconstructed, and I didn't know where to put my feet anymore. And so this can happen when we have such a radical discontinuity, when we step into the unknown. But what if we do that from a place of consciousness? So Jenny says, what's the word discontinuity mean? Well, discontinuous. So continuity is moving right along, right? When we have discontinuity, it's like a disruption of that continuity. And so there are moments, you may or may not have experienced them, but there are moments that are life altering, where something happens and everything changes, like a radical shift of awareness, perhaps, or a radical shift of beings. Oftentimes it happens through tragedies, where a death in the family, or something that feels like a tragedy. Often that's what. So Jenny said, I did leukemia, so that's why you had the stem cell treatment. That's amazing, Jenny. And life cycling change, exactly. And there's this transformation that changes everything. So Rosalind says, emergent property is inherent. Do you mean inherent or inherit? Take away memories, body, conditional patterns, what's left? I love that question, Rosalind. Exactly, what's left? And so what's left is essence. And I was really considering those questions, actually, when trying to come up with the title for today's talk. And what happens when we allow our, okay, so inherent means fundamental, like part of the essence of something, Jenny. So built in is what it means essentially. So when we look at letting go of memories, conditional patterns, um, our self uh, our self ideas, beliefs, patterns, history, when we release that, what is left? It's the essence of our being, the uniqueness that makes us who we are, the what I like to call our soul song, that each of us is life expressing itself through us in its unique, in our unique form, in our unique package. So it's our unique essence, our fundamental beingness. And when I'm thinking about this, stepping into the void, rather than stepping into nothingness, which is how we really consider the void to be. Yes, authentic, Jenny, that's it. So, the way that I perceive us and our journey of awakening is we have this essential self, this kernel of life or expression that is unique to us, that we came here to express. And then we have all these things laid over on top of that, all our ideas, our experiences, our beliefs, our emotions, our history, all of that is laid over on top of our essential selves, and often obscures what I call our soul song. And so stepping into the void is, in my imagining, being able to shed all of that investment. And investments, by the way, are clothing, so an investment is our enclothedness, to be able to be shedding all of those things that are covering up our essential selves, and to be stepping into the possibility of a fuller expression of that essence. What does it look like? And so there's a part of me that's been whispering and getting a bit louder with each passing day that I listen, that there's this wild woman inside me that just has not been expressed. And yes, exactly, Jenny. Jenny says, the light we shine from within and without, and from within out to the world. Exactly. So, I'm there's a part of me that has been living such a deeply restrained and constrained and restricted life, and I'm feeling its desire amplifying. I'm feeling this as I'm allowing myself to connect to it. I'm feeling this bubbling up of the desire for expression, and also feeling at a point in my life where I'm less concerned about what other people think than I ever have been. And there's a profound freedom in that, right? To be able to just become, to have a willingness and a desire to step into that unknown. And Bernadette says, shedding the layers of what we believe to be the masses, opposed to believe and following our own uniqueness, to be you. And that's what Bernadette says. Exactly, Bernadette. And Jenny says, to be you. Exactly. And realizing that that may engender all kinds of reactions from people and judgments, but so what? So what? After a point, we get to, I guess we get to a point where we just say, this is it. It's like, when do we claim that that sense of self? When do we claim that deep essence and have a willingness to be expressing it in the world? And Jenny says, yes, exactly, Jenny. Not worried about what other people think. And that is so much a part of coming into our own, coming into our own purpose, our own being, our deepest expression. What does that look like? Rosalind says, to be in the dance of the creator, the vision had to come from somewhere. Is the void that place we are describing? Yes, and yes, it is. I'm calling it the void, but it's a pregnant void. It's not emptiness. It's nothingness and everythingness all at once. It's being fully in the flow of life. And the Jenny says, I'm discovering that myself. Yes, so what we're looking at is to your point, Rosalind, to be in the place of the creator. The vision had to come from somewhere. So that spark of life that we came here with, that is uniquely ours, that's what I'm talking about. And what does it look like to express that? There's an outrageousness that may be part of that defies our social conditioning, that goes beyond the social constraints that we have adopted, accepted, embraced, or been subject to. So Jenny says, consciousness and live in the present moment. Yes. So what is it like? What would be different if you gave yourself permission to be that person, to be expressing those aspects of self? What would it look like in your life? Yes, Jenny says, beyond the rejection and judgment. Yes. So, it's so interesting. I was talking to a friend yesterday who was telling me about hundreds of thousands of people in Japan that were just retreating from society and essentially just dying, truly dying. Because they were feeling like, is this all there is? Like, get up, go to work, eat, sleep, get up, go to work, eat, sleep, whatever, this cycle of living that just felt empty and meaningless. And Jenny says, shine bright like a rainbow. I love it. And yes, so there's this sense of not just even loneliness, but a deep sense of disconnection. I think, Jenny, is a big part of that disconnection from self, and true expression, and the willingness to find a way to express that essence, that there is also a disconnection from the natural world and what's available to us in it, and disconnection or an unwillingness to sing the soul song that is our foundation, that is the essence of who we truly are. And we get to, like, this is something I've been confronting in my life, is just, what is this life that I'm living? You know, this, in so many ways, there are many things that I'm very grateful for that are expressive of me and my essence. Like speaking to you every day, that's really one of the things that is very much coming from my heart and soul, and my coaching practice, and the Sustainability Now stuff. But there's, you know, like the day-to-day living of my life has not been really in alignment with the spark of life that's within me. And so there's been a lot of deep reflection and some well, lots of dissatisfaction bubbling up that I get to be looking at how to reshape, right? To how to be in deeper expression. So Bernadette says, a difference between living life and existing in life. You nailed it, Bernadette. That's exactly it. The difference between putting one foot in front of the other, plodding through life versus dancing through life, or just doing your own special dance. Rosalind says, can we bring peace whether the condition is there or not, waiting for conditions before vibrating at the level envisioned? Rosalind, I think what you're talking about is that we get to create that energy first, and the energy then creates the circumstance. And I think that that's really true. We don't, our experience is not contingent upon our condition. And there are, it feels like that a lot of times, that our experience is contingent upon our conditions. And so when we have the recognition, like I'm talking about, we get to start shifting our energy, and then that enables us to shift the condition. It's kind of being able to reach the level of energy that is, you know, where you blast off, and then you're reaching a level of energy where you can break through the limitations of the pervasive atmosphere, right? So Bernadette says, yes, I believe we can, responding to Rosalind, we can bring peace whether the condition is there or not. Exactly. We don't have to make our experience be dependent upon our circumstance. And there are certain circumstances that are more favorable than others for different expression, right? For like a plant may grow under really dry conditions, but it's not going to grow the same as if it's in fertile and properly watered soil, right? So there's an interplay, and we can find ways to be functioning in less than optimal circumstances. But I think for me at this point, I'm looking at how to optimize my conditions as well. And so Jenny says, your vibe attracts like a magnet. Exactly. So when we change, when we shift our beingness, when we cultivate our enthusiasm, when we cultivate our vitality, then we draw different experiences than if we are in depression. When we're internally focused, we draw different circumstance than when we're externally focused, and everywhere in between. So good morning, Gia. So good to have you here with us this morning. Welcome. And Bernadette says, sometimes the condition allows us to be the lone soldier until we bring the masses into our vibrational realm. Yeah, I tend to think that as we vibrate, we, whatever our frequency is, we're impacting the world. You know, that we're all interconnected. When we move, we're moving the universe. You know, if there's this, if rather than being surrounded by empty space, we're surrounded by a matrix of energy, then every movement we make impacts that whole matrix, and there are ripples everywhere. It's like the butterfly effect, right? The butterfly flaps its wings and creates breezes across the universe. So the stepping into the void. Yes, so Jenny says, step to the beat of your own drum. Exactly. Oh, and you got a great little emoji there, drum emoji. That's so cool. So yeah, what does it look like? What does it look like to be willing to be fearless enough to step into our own unknown, to allow ourselves to build enough momentum to break free of the inertia that's holding us stuck. You know, it's almost like it takes a lot of energy to generate the enough energy to move out of the familiar. Jenny says, I love drum circles. And Jenny's saying it's about having courage. It is about having courage to be able to step into the unknown, to step out of the familiar, to take an action. Bernadette says, I love drum circles too. So move out of the comfort zone, Jenny says. Exactly. That's what we're talking about. To move out of the comfort zone into the expression zone, maybe. Right? To good morning, Dido. So good to have you here with us this morning. Yeah, so we're talking about really looking at what it is that is going to feed our deepest essence, our deepest core, and to be willing to step into embracing that. And finding our fuller expression. That's really what it's about. And so I'm inviting you guys to step into your own void, to step into your own unknown, to be able to find more of who you truly are, to be able to express more of who you truly are. And so with that, that's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I invite you to check out the other wonderful, wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living and EWN One with the Earth. So much love to you guys. So much appreciation for your engagement and participation. We're going to send prayers to Jenny, everybody, and enjoy your day, everyone. So much love to you all. Till next time.